Hello everyone and welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to make a couple of little thank you cards and I decided to use one of the new stamps from the current catalogue, the Be Thankful stamp. It is just one large stamp. There we go. But it makes some really pretty little cards. So the first card I made was this one. And it's got the in colour DSP and I've used some of the vellum and just a little bit of twine, and that's all there is on it. So I'm going to show you how to make this one, and we need to start with a piece of cardstock that's 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4, and it is going to be a landscape card. And usually when I make landscapes, I like them to open this way. But at the very end, I decided to put this little piece of twine in. And I couldn't really get it in there, so I had to pick up the paper at the edge and sort of stick it under there, and then I tore it a little bit up here. So to make it easier, I'm just going to make it this way today. So, oops. So there's your basic card. And for this one, I've chosen the Grapefruit Grove paper, and it's just from the little 6-pack that you've seen me use a lot lately. It's all my little scraps in there as well. But I'm really enjoying using the little packs. I find them much more accessible than having the big packs of the 12 by 12 and thinking, oh, I don't want to cut that up, it's too pretty. So I'm a bit of a paper hoarder. So I've cut it to match the front, which will then be 5.5 by 4 1/4. Okay, and we can actually glue that down. So I'm going to glue it first. Now you can choose any DSP you want for this. Really up to you. Oops. And then just make sure that you get the whole of the front covered. There we go. Now the next thing we need is a piece of vellum. And I cut my vellum and I cut it to 5.5 by 3 1/4. And then what I did was I just stamped with StazOn and made the black outline. Now, Stampin UP's vellum is very thick. It's more of a cardstock vellum. I have used vellum in the past where it's a bit thinner and it bends a little bit easier, but theirs is very, very thick. Really nice quality. Okay, so I've stamped it, and then on the back I was using my Stampin markers, and these are the in colour ones, just to colour in. And I always colour on the back. Now, if there's a little bit of ink that you missed, like on mine, just the stripes on the B, they didn't come out very strong. So I just got my black marker and I went over that. If there's a little piece of the writing that's missed, just go over it with your Stampin marker. Nobody will notice. And then I started to colour in, and I coloured the flowers in the in the Grapefruit Grove, because that's the colour that matches this. On this one, I used the lovely lipstick, and I coloured all of these leaves in the Call Me Clover. But this time what I decided to do was make half of the leaf sort of orange, so that it just looked like there were a few more flowers growing. And then the writing I did with my, I think it was Coastal Cabana. Yeah, Coastal Cabana. And to make this like this, where it's a bit lighter at the top and darker at the bottom, all I did was colour the whole of the letters in. And then once that had dried, I took my marker pen again and I just went over the bottom half, just to make that bottom bit just a little bit darker. And then it looks like sort of ombre effect. Now a couple of times I did go over the lines. I need to practice colouring in the lines. And the best thing to get it off is your blender pen. If you go over, just go over with the blender pen and it takes it away. Now the next thing we're going to do is to tear the top and the bottom. You see how I've just torn it. All I did was I just very slightly tore about 1/4 of an inch, I suppose, and just went across. Sometimes I like to have a bit more of a dramatic tear. It tears really easily. If you're worried, what you can do is to get a ruler. Let's pretend this is a ruler. Put it onto the vellum and then tear against it. And that way you know you won't go over your 1/4 of an inch mark. If there's a bit you don't like, just tear it off. There we go. I'm quite happy with that. And let's throw these tiny little bits away. And then I wanted to adhere it to a piece of white which I cut at 5.5 by 2.5. Let's turn it over because it's got a little piece of green over there. And to make it stick, what I'm going to do is to put glue dots just where these circles are. So I've got my glue dots and let's find the paper piercer. Okay, once these are stuck on, you won't see them. And it's best to hide them, best to hide them on something like that. Let's take that one off that I stuck to the paper. That one doesn't want to stick at all. Oh dear, having one of those days. There we go. Oh, I don't know what it is today, they don't want to stick. Let me use my glue dots from my paper pumpkin. It's very, very warm in here, so I wonder if that's maybe it. We've got a lot of smoke as well from the forest fires, and it is very, very close. Let's pop one on here. If your glue dots don't want to stick, like mine don't seem to, you could always use a little bit of Tombow. So excuse me while I just get this Tombow out. I'm just going to pop it on here. I don't want those glue dots to come off because it's so warm. And the Tombow won't show either. There we go. And then we're just going to put it across this piece of card. Just make sure you've got a little bit of vellum at the top and a little bit at the bottom. And that the vellum goes all the way along on the card. There we go. Just pop these glue dots away. Okay, whoops. Move those little bits of paper. So next what we're going to do is we're just going to adhere this to here, and you can use anything you want to do that. We're not going to put it up on dimensionals or anything. And if you want it to be bang in the middle, that's fine. If you want it to go sort of a little bit more towards the top or the bottom, that works too. And then last of all, I just used some of our basic black twine. I'm just going to make a little bow. Move it down a little bit. There we go. And then to get those little loops right, I just hold on to it with my paper piercer, or sometimes I'll put the paper piercer through just to make the loops a little bit more round. And then, oops, you can stick that down with a glue dot as well underneath if you want to. and then I just trimmed like that. And there we are. Just a quick and easy little thank you card. So I hope you like those. One in the Grapefruit Grove and one in the lovely lipstick. So thanks very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next time when I'm going to use the same stamp and I'm going to make a more masculine card. Thanks very much. Bye everyone.